Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Monday. The World Cup is officially underway. Hope you enjoyed last night's game, although saying that it wasn't that great, was it? Ecuador comfortably beating Qatar 2-0, but it all kicks off in earnest really today. All plenty of games now during the week, lots to keep us entertained, keep our eye on. Hopefully Arsenal's players do well. Big day coming up for Bukayo Saka, which I'll talk about a little bit later on in this video. But I wanted to start today's video because obviously there's no football, actual football, club football to talk about. Going to sort of spend the next, 4 weeks or so, whatever it is during the World Cup. If there isn't too much, actual breaking Arsenal news, we'll talk a little bit about, opinions on this, on these videos this week. I'll try and do some Q&As as well, get you guys involved, to try and pass the time as we wait for club football to come back. I wanted to start today's video on Nicolas Pepe. What to do with Nicolas Pepe? Obviously over in France at the moment this season on loan at Nice, not doing too badly. 6 goals in 18 appearances for Pepe. 3 of those penalties. We know he is very, very good from the spot. And he seems to be doing well, as you would expect. It always looked like when that loan was announced and he went back to France, he went to Nice, you just thought, yeah, he's going to do pretty well. He's going to have a good season. I don't think he's good enough for the Premier League, I have to say. I certainly don't think he's good enough for Arsenal in the Premier League. I think, personally, my opinion on this, and I'd love to get your opinions, let me know in the comments below. Obviously, if you disagree with me or agree with me, I think Arsenal need to try and find a way of selling Pepe at the end of the season. I think the hope is that he will have a very good season in France, which he appears to be having, on track towards, pretty much having a good season. And then they get some money for him at the end of the season. It just depends on A, who comes in for him, and B, how they manage to afford the sort of money that Arsenal would like. Now, Pepe's got a couple of years left on his contract. Big money, obviously, wages-wise, one of Arsenal's high earners. Arsenal spent £72 million. I think we all can admit now that they far overspent when it came to Nicolas Pepe. Not surprising that Real went pretty soon after that transfer was looked into, and the amount of money that was spent on it. And it's just about cutting your losses, I think, with Pepe. Now, he's clearly a very good player, a decent player. He's a good finisher, excellent on his left foot. I just don't think he's suited to the Premier League. I think he's too one-dimensional to be a success in the Premier League, certainly at the very, very top level. I think decent defenders know how to stop Nicolas Pepe, and that was his problem when it came to Arsenal. I don't think physically he was really up to it, the Premier League either. And Arsenal just need to find a way of selling him at the end of the season, need to cut their losses. Look, they're not going to get much money for Pepe, it's clear. I mean, at the end of this year, he's only going to have a year left on his deal. They've got the wages that they need to try and sort out. So any club who are going to be coming in for him are going to have the issue of trying to take on the wages that he wants. And so Arsenal, I imagine, are going to have to do some pretty clever negotiating to get him off the books. But, there is no future for Nicolas Pepe at Arsenal. Can any of you guys seriously disagree with that? I can't imagine you can. When you look at it, you look at how this team is developing under Mikel Arteta, you look at how Arteta clearly didn't rate Nicolas Pepe in the slightest, that it's not, that's not a bold statement or anything like that. It's just obvious there is no long-term future for Nicolas Pepe at Arsenal. So hopefully he can continue doing what he's doing in France and have this good season with Nice, and that will open up some possibilities for Arsenal to get him off the books permanently at the end of the season. Cut your losses, get him off the wage bill permanently. If you can get some sort of money back on him, you're not going to get much. You're going to have to count your losses on this one again. It's another transfer that's failed for Arsenal. It's another transfer where they're going to take a big financial hit. That's just a given, but you're just going to have to accept it, swallow it once again, and sort of put Pepe along with some of the other deals as ones to learn from and ones to make mistakes to make sure you're never going to make again. You've got to do more due diligence with these signings. It was an exciting signing at the time. I was excited by it. I'm sure all of you guys were as well. We'd had such a good season in France, but I think what it also says is you've just got to have very smart recruitment, very stringent recruitment, who really look into a player. They look beyond just the amount of goals he scores. And it kind of felt like with Pepe that season that he had before he joined Arsenal, some of the people who were running the club at that time got a little bit carried away with that. They, and completely got themselves into a bit of a hole. Transfer fee wise, paid it, and it was very apparent very soon that it just wasn't a deal that was good for Arsenal. So look, I like Nicolas Pepe. He got me off my seat a few times. It was exciting. He scored a few good goals, But I think it was pretty obvious what he just he didn't quite have what it took. Certainly in a Mikel Arteta team, defensively, sort of just a football brain really to be able to handle it at Arsenal. So look, I hope he has a good season. Hope he finishes well. I hope Arsenal can get some sort of deal done and everyone can move on from that situation. But let me know if you disagree with me or not. I mean, do you think Nicolas Pepe has a future at Arsenal? Let me know as always in the comments below. Okay, so big day for Bukayo Saka. Today he is going to start for England in their opening game. By the time you're watching this video, he may well have already started, or the game may have finished, depending on what time you're watching it. If you're watching it after the event, after the full-time whistle's gone, hopefully, fingers crossed, you've seen Bukayo Saka have a very, very good performance indeed. It's a massive day for him. It's his first World Cup performance. It's an absolutely deserved start as well. I've seen there's been lots of debate since the team sort of was leaked last night, or some of the team news was leaked last night. You know, why should Saka be starting over Phil Foden? For me, no, he shouldn't be starting over Phil Foden. He should be starting with Phil Foden. I don't know how Mason Mount's in this England team. Look, again, hopefully by the time you've watched this video, the game's finished and Mason Mount scored 3 and made me eat my words. But even if he has, he still wouldn't be in my team for England in my starting 11. I'm glad that it looks like Southgate's playing 4-3-3 for this game. It's a formation he should be playing. I'm sure that will change later on in the tournament when they play bigger teams. But I'm glad he's playing 4-3-3. But for me, you just play Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden as the midfield 3. You play Phil Foden kind of where Granit Xhaka's been playing for Arsenal in that advanced number 8 type role. Have Bellingham on the other side of him, have Declan Rice holding behind him, and then you can have Saka, Kane, and then either Rashford or Sterling on the left hand side. I just don't see why it's Saka or Foden. It should be Saka and Foden, but again, that's personal opinion for me. But yeah, really delighted for Bukayo Saka. I mean, no one deserves this more. We all know what happened at the end of the Euros, the way he responded from that, the difficult times he had to endure through social media and everything like that, the way he brushed it all off. He's grown as a player. He's just been such a leader for Arsenal. He absolutely deserves this moment, and I really hope in just a couple hours time that we're all talking about a fantastic performance for Bukayo Saka and England getting off to a decent start. Although I'm sure plenty of you watching this video, wherever you're watching it around the world, might not want England to get off to a great start, but you know what I mean. I'm sure you're all going to be watching it as Arsenal fans and hoping that Bukayo Saka has a very good performance indeed. And wherever you are watching this around the world, whatever country you're supporting, I hope you have a fantastic World Cup and you perform well, and yeah, you're happy with how your team does. One player who isn't at the World Cup, and I think may well have been if he'd been fit, is Emile Smith Rowe. Gareth Southgate does really like Emile Smith Rowe, and the fact that you kind of look at Conor Gallagher has gone just makes me think if Smith Rowe had been fit and carried on playing, I think he might well have had a really good chance of going to this World Cup under Gareth Southgate. Obviously he's not, because he'd been injured for a long time. He's only made 4 appearances this season. I did speak in one of the videos last week about Emile Smith Rowe and his return and how it was going well, and he was going to be going to Dubai for the warm weather training camp and the Dubai Super Cup. He's given an interview actually. He's over in Abu Dhabi at the moment doing a bit of rehab ahead of that Dubai training camp, and he was sort of caught on the grid at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix by the Sky Sports cameras, and he sort of did one of those sort of grid interviews that they did, and he was speaking about his fitness and his recovery. He said, hopefully I'll be back for the first game after the World Cup. I'm actually out here in Abu Dhabi doing rehab. Today was my day off. I'm back training tomorrow. I'm back on the pitch and stuff is going really well. I mean, that's great news there. That he's actually, he's back out on the pitch and really stepping things up. You think he might well even feature, hopefully, during the Dubai Super Cup if things are going that well. And the fact that he's saying, he's going to be ready for the West Ham game on Boxing Day is fantastic. I spoke about it last week. Smith Rowe being back fit is just a huge boost for Arsenal. Obviously, they haven't missed him that much because they're top of the table and flying, but you know what I mean. Just having that other option in the squad is fantastic. Arsenal have had to really hammer Gabriel Martinelli at times this season down that left-hand side because there's not really been any player to give him a rest. When they have, they've moved Eddie Nketiah over there, which hasn't really worked. If they'd had Smith Rowe this whole season so far, you could have rotated with Gabriel Martinelli, wouldn't have had to play as many games. I think Arsenal would have had a far better sort of attack in the Europa League groups if you had Smith Rowe on the left-hand side. And I think it's going to be fantastic when he comes back. And if he is fully fit and he's finally shaken off this groin injury and the surgery has worked and it's left him injury-free for the first time in ages, it's going to be a huge boost. And it is that old cliche like a new signing, which I hate, but in this case, if you got a fit Smith Rowe coming in January when he's missed the full first half of the season, pretty much, it's going to be a huge boost for the squad, because I think we all can. It's easy to forget just how important Smith Rowe. He was joint top scorer last season. Take those goals out of the squad, it's a big blow this season. So hopefully he can come back and he can get back to his top form. He was also asked about the team and how kind of frustrating it's been having to watch from the touchlines while the team have been flying. He said, it's going really well for the team at the moment. I'm really happy for them, but sometimes it is annoying when it feels like I'm not involved and that I can't be on the pitch with my teammates. But it's amazing to see them doing so well, and I can't wait to get back. It must be frustrating for Smith Rowe to watch and not be able to be involved in the team this season. For any player who's injured, it's hard enough, but when your team's absolutely flying and you just want to get in on it, hopefully that's just made him even more hungry for when he does come back and when he does return to fitness to really make an impact over the second half of the season. Because, like I said, joint top scorer last season, those goals, if he can come back and hit that sort of form, he's going to be a huge asset in the second half of the season. So great news about Emile Smith Rowe. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Do have a very good day. And like I said, if you're watching this after the England game has finished, hopefully Bukayo Saka has had an absolute worldie. Have a great day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.